All right, so welcome back from that break. We're getting into our conversation this morning, and I've been joined by Dr. Sherif Okyeere. If you've been watching the show, you get to know that we've been talking to him for a while now, and he's from Army Scientific Herbal and Alternative Medical Hospital. And today we're talking about it's got quite a huge name, but you get to understand very soon. It is peripheral neuropathy, right? So that's what we're looking at today, and it's just about something that we can answer better. So, yes, Dr. Sherif Okyeere will take us through that. We'll get to talk about what really that is, the causes, the symptoms, and how the treatment, of course, for that. We're live on Facebook, so do want to watch us on Facebook if you're stepping out in a bit. Dr. Sherif Okyeere, good morning and welcome.
Good morning. Thanks so much.
Today's a big day for you.
Yes.
I'll tell the viewers why later.
It's a very big day for me,
Anyway, hope you're well though.
I'm doing well by God's grace.
Fantastic, thank God.
Well.
Now, to this huge name,
yes,
peripheral neuropathy.
Good.
If someone is watching, that hey, I'm a decent. I mean, what really is it?
Okay. Thanks so much for the opportunity. Peripheral neuropathy, as you mentioned. It's a condition that has to do with the nerves in the system. Now, if you look at the nerves, it's been divided into two. We have the central nervous system, which involves the brain and the spinal cord, and the peripheral nerves, which forms all other nerves in the body apart from the central nervous system, which is the brain and the spinal cord. And just as you know, nerves are all around our body, from the head to the toe. Nerves are all around the body. So any nerves outside the central nervous system, which is the spinal cord and the brain, forms part of the peripheral nerves. And when there's a damage to any of these nerves, that is when we say you are having peripheral neuropathy. So basically, peripheral neuropathy is damage to the nerves outside the central nervous system, which is nerves in our arms, in our legs, in our feet, and other parts of the body apart from the central nervous system.
Okay, great. Maybe I'd want you to, let's break down the nerve, so that people will understand.
Okay.
Maybe I'm trying to think if it's, let's use something like a wire.
Okay, yes. So the nerves are actually a wire, so to say, that send information to the brain and back from the brain to all parts of the body.
Okay.
So we just as we know that everything that we does in our body is being controlled by the brain, which is the center of action of all activities in our body.
Okay.
So for example, if there's a touch, there's a sensory nerves in our skin which will pick that information that something is touching you, whether it's hot, whether it's cold, whether it's warm, whatsoever. That sensory nerves, is what picks up this information, sends it right away to the brain for the brain to interpret whatever is going on at that particular point in time. So for example, if you touch a hot object, the sensory nerve sends the information to the brain, and quickly the brain will interpret this information for you to remove your hand. If not, it will be there. Your hand will be there, it will burn without you noticing that. And this activity takes a split second, because let's look at you touching an hot object and the time that you remove. And before you remove your hand, it means that the information has gone to the brain and also come back to that particular point of action. And it does a whole lot. The nerves does a whole lot for our body. It controls so many things that goes on in the body, from hormone secretion, from controlling muscle sensation, controlling specific activities in the body. So it sounds like the wires in our houses that sends electricity to our houses. So it is very, very important, and it plays very important roles for our body.
Okay. So as important as we are saying they are, how do they get damaged?
Yes, so when you look at the causes of peripheral neuropathy, it has been categorized into about 3 or 4. At a point, you can say trauma. So trauma can cause damage to the nerves. So for example, you have a sprain, you have a dislocation, you dislocate your joint or something, you fall, and there's any trauma to any of these, parts of the body, the peripheral, our arms and legs, and the nerves are affected. Okay. It could actually damage that nerves around that space, which could cause this peripheral neuropathy that we are talking about. Apart from that, there are situations like infections. There are a couple of infections that if you are exposed to, this infection has a tendency of affecting your nerves and causing damage to it, which can lead you to this peripheral neuropathy that we are talking about. For example, a very common one that we don't pay attention to is shingles.
Shingles?
Yes, what we call anansi.
Anansi, okay.
Yes, so you are there and these rashes around. Usually you see people putting some white substance in it. Anansi, that particular virus that causes anansi has a tendency of affecting the nerves, which could lead to this peripheral neuropathy. There are situations like people who suffer hepatitis B and C. Such infections can lead to peripheral neuropathy, like HIV infections and all those things. Well, so when you look at the infections, these are some of the things that could lead to peripheral neuropathy. Apart from that, one of the very common causes of peripheral neuropathy lately is diabetes.
Diabetes?
Yes. So if you're having diabetes mellitus or has a tendency of affecting the nerve, because what happens is these sugar molecules that are left in your blood has a tendency of affecting some of these nerves in the body, which could lead to some of these peripheral neuropathy that we are talking about. There are situations like vitamin deficiency. Okay. So if you are lacking, especially with the vitamin B, B12, B6, B2, and all those things. So if you lack vitamins, it could lead to some of these conditions. There are situations where people have congenital conditions or autoimmune disorders like systemic lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, and all those things. Some of these things can also lead to, peripheral, neuropathy. And even some medications.
Some medications?
Yes. Even some common cold medications that we take has a tendency of affecting or causing peripheral neuropathy. And then some cancer medications, people going through cancer treatment and all those things, it could predispose you in getting peripheral neuropathy. There are lifestyle situations like excessive intake of alcohol. You understand? When you abuse alcohol, it could cause damage to the nerves, which can lead to, peripheral neuropathy.
Wow. So all of these things, numbness, as you're saying.
Yes.
Burning, you're talking about burning sensations.
Yes. So when you look at some of the signs that peripheral neuropathy comes with, burning sensation is one of the very common signs that people exhibit. So you see people complaining, as if they've smeared pepper on your body. All the time you're feeling some sort of heat within the body, some burns within the body. At times, some people will go back as if there's a needle prick. They are pricking some needles within the arms, the legs, the feet, and all those things. Needle prick. It can be stabbing. At some point, it can be stabbing pain. Some people can also experience severe sweating.
Okay.
Yes, severe sweating, because the little activity that they do, you see them
sweating
profusely. There are some people, they might not even sweat at all. No matter, they turn lizards. They don't sweat because some of the nerves are affected. And mind you, not just these tingling sensations and all those things that we are talking about, especially when the motor nerves are affected. Okay. Now, when the motor nerves are affected, mind you, the motor nerves is what helps muscles to contract. So the muscles contract for you to be able to lift your leg, for you to be able to lift your arm and all those things. So if your peripheral nerves are affected, and that type of nerve affected is a motor nerve, you can experience weakness in the arm without you suffering stroke or any condition that has to do with you having paralysis or something of that sort. And some people might even have, peripheral neuropathy, and it could affect one part of the face. The face will drop. They can't lift the arm. They can't lift. There's weakness within the arm. And then also, if the sensory nerves are affected, some people are highly sensitive to touch. Even when you are playing with the person and you touch the person will be complaining that the person is feeling pain and all those things. Severe body pains. Without you doing anything, you are always going through pain. When the sensory nerves are affected, it can lead to some of these things. And then also, when the sensory nerves are affected, extreme, situations like you are sensitive to cold, extreme sensitivity to cold, to temperatures and all those things. And then also, if autonomic nerves are involved in some of these situations, that is when even your bladder can be affected. Because, mind you, the autonomic nerve controls your bladder, how your bladder should open up for urine to come out and all those things. So if the bladder is affected as a result of autonomic nerve being damaged in peripheral neuropathy, it will get to a point you can't even control your urine output.
So wherever the nerve is, it gets affected.
It gives you, some people can even have a sudden drop in their BPs, which can lead them into having fainting or something of that sort. Wow. So it is very, very serious situation. And especially if the specific type of nerve involved it's very critical. You understand? That particular, because if, for example, your autonomic nerve is involved and your BP, right now you don't have control over how your BP is going, and you can just drop your BP down, going into hypotension, which could lead you into coma and all those things. At times, it can even lead to you having issues with your heart and all those things. So it shows how serious some of these conditions are. And then what makes it even more serious in our terrain is the fact that exposure to certain toxins or certain metals, heavy metals, like lead, mercury, and all those. And if you mention mercury now, we all know the situation with galamsey and all those things. Mercury, if you're exposed to it, damages the nerve at a very higher rate. You understand? So in the shortest possible time, you start exhibiting some of these signs. Burning, tingling, and all those things. Lightheadedness, your BP dropping, you not having control over your muscles and all those things, having extreme sensitive to touch and all those temperatures and all those. So it is very, very critical, a situation that we need to pay attention to it. And mind you, now, if you attend to about 10 patients right now, at least 4 to 5 will present one of these signs that we are mentioning to you, especially if the age is a little, older. So maybe from 40 upwards, or even if you're having any underlying condition like hypertension, diabetes, and all those things. So it makes a very critical condition that we need to pay critical attention to.
So as you mentioned that, it brings me to people who are always like by the fire, right?
Yes.
They'll be by the fire, so market women or how do you call it? People who cook food and sell them. When it gets to a point, they do not feel fire anymore, and
is
that part of it?
So there are people, their nerves are damaged to the extent that when even they touch fire, they don't feel it. So they can get burned without even noticing. Some people, when they are walking, as if there's a foam under their feet, their shoes can go off without them noticing. They can have a damage to the feet without them noticing. You understand? So these are some of the things that peripheral neuropathy can also present with. So it's very, very critical situation.
Okay, well, if you just tuned in, you're watching The Morning Rush here on Metro Television, and today we're having a conversation on peripheral neuropathy, and I'm letting it alone. I think it's something that we've not really talked about. We'll just numbness. I can't feel stuff here, but this is quite a serious thing, and especially as you mentioned, if you have an underlying condition, and that's like the big problem. Every time there's going to be a disease, there's something.
Yes.
There's diabetes, hypertension, something that triggers all of these other things. Yes. Hey,
that is why we need to be very, very, careful about our lifestyle, because when you look at some of these conditions, mostly when you look at the causes, more like things that we do that predisposes us to some of these conditions. So we need to be very, very careful, because, for example, if you are lacking vitamins, as I mentioned, you can damage your nerves, and it could lead you to some of peripheral neuropathy. Okay. So try and eat balanced diet. Don't just concentrate on eating the bankus and the kenke, forgetting your fruit and vegetables, which have some of these essential vitamins, which the nerves rely on to nourish, because it helps nourish the nerves. So your eating alone could predispose you in getting some of these things. So it's very, very important that we pay attention to.
Can the nerves be repaired?
Yes, especially when the what is causing the problem is treatable.
Okay.
So, for example, and one thing that has helped Amen Scientific Herbal and Alternative Medical Hospital in managing some of these situations is the fact that we always pay attention in identifying what is causing the problem.
Okay.
You understand? Because, for example, if my lack of vitamins is causing that, the treatment might be different from someone who probably is suffering from diabetes and is leading to that condition. Okay. So we always pay attention to what is causing the problem, find the underlying condition of the problem, which help us to know the way forward, the treatment that we will give to help. And we have a lot of people who were in very bad situations having these peripheral neuropathy, but by God's grace, they've been very, very successful, and right now they are fine without any problem. So if you are watching us this morning and you're having any of these signs, you are showing signs of peripheral neuropathy, I entreat you to visit Amen Scientific Herbal and Alternative Medical Hospital, because we have the best treatment for some of these, situations.
All right, so you heard from him. So the numbers on your screen this morning. Do well to call and just get yourself treated, because Charlie, right now in this world, if you're sick, you cannot do anything. No. So it's very important that we take care of ourselves. So please do call the numbers on your screen. And of course, Amen is located at Domain near the Snit Flats.
Domain, Snit Flats, close to the rail line, and at Lashibi, Klagon, close to the Shama Underbridge. We are all over Ghana, from Boga to Wa to Tamale to Sunyane to Kumasi to Takrady to Ho to Hoho, Nkoko, Inchi, all over Ghana. Just call the numbers on the screen, and wherever Amen Scientific is close by to you, we'll give you the direction to come for your treatment to some of these situations.
So please call the numbers or make your way to any of the branches across the country and go treat yourself when it comes to peripheral neuropathy and every other sickness that you find yourself with. And so, Doc, just before you go, as I mentioned before we started the show, today is a big day. Yes. Should I leave it to you, or I should say it myself?
Yes, I'm just do it for me.
Okay. So let me just do this. So today is the wife of the birthday of Oga Madam.
Yes.
Madam herself. So her name is Fedausa.
Yes.
Atwe Sowa.
Yes.
Assistant Superintendent of Immigration, Tema Dry Dock. From your husband, he says, I love her and may Allah bless her for me. Oh, Doc. Hey, can you?
But also can I?
It's okay. Yes. Okay. So to Madam Fedausa Atwe Sowa, your Assistant Superintendent of Immigration at Tema Dry Dock, happy birthday to you. God richly bless you from your husband, Dr. Sherif Okyeere. He says that he loves you, and tonight and today he's taking you out. If he doesn't happen, next week he's not coming on the show. Anyway, Doc, thank you so much for coming this morning.
It's we really always appreciate a pleasure to
you always coming through. So I think you have it with Dr. Sherif Okyeere from Amen. These days the name is very long, so you need to take your time and mention all of it before. So Amen Scientific Herbal and Alternative Medical Hospital. They're across the country. Call the numbers or go there and get yourself checked.